Ta-da! Hello everyone. Surefirejacob here, how you doing? Welcome to a retries series. Today we'll be retrying this. Now, I love to give things a chance, you know that, which is why I'm giving it a retry. So, as I stated in my last video, I will be buying a new iPhone. It'll be a 13, and the reason why was because the battery on the other, was close to blowing up, and well, I said it was the battery was knackered, and I just didn't like Apple, etc., whatever. And then after that video on the XS Max, I got a new battery for it. It worked okay for about 2-3 days, but now it's dead. Absolutely dead. No power whatsoever in this thing. It got picky over a cable just because there was one drip on the screen. So obviously I used other cable. The other cable was fine, even though it was slow, the one that he sold me from that corner shop place, whatever we call it. So in the end the phone drained to completely 0%, and I tried to recharge it like you would do with an Android phone. Let's give you an example. Here is an Android phone, a Samsung. As you can see, completely drained on that one as well. But the great thing about this is you can actually charge it back up again and it will be a working phone. For example, same phone, battery working. With this iPhone, it was a completely different story. The guy in the store told me to not overcharge it, which is odd because I would have thought they put overcharge protection chips in these by now, which they have. So he was lying to me. And so the battery was drained and all that sort of thing, and this on my Instagram story and all that sort of thing. I might splice a clip here. So as you know, recently with this fucking iPhone, this fucking thing, I got a battery replaced, and yada yada yada. I tried it and I still didn't like it, and then I was going to do a revisit series over this, but I don't really need to do a revisit really. I mean, people say get the new iPhone and all that sort of thing, new 14 or whatever. I don't think it matters which phone you get. They're all going to be the shitty same. Sorry, I've woke up not long ago. I recently got this Pifco cable. It's a Pifco cable. I have the original iPhone cable. Now, the great thing about Android is when you plug it in, it actually charges, even from 0. Watch this, right? Genuine Apple cable. I've put it on the very powerful side. Plug it in. Nothing. Absolute nothing. Nothing comes up, right? Let's try the Pifco cable. That's supposed to be 2.4 amps. Plugging that in. Nothing. Absolute nothing. It was picky with my magnetic charger cable. Didn't want to charge at all. So no matter what I throw at it, it won't charge anymore. All because of a tiny drip on the screen. Here's a good lesson to you guys. Avoid Apple. Android's better, in my opinion. Until I can get the other phone, I suppose. But even then, it's still shit. It's fucking slow, outrun. They're useless, iPhones are. Don't buy an iPhone. I mean, they're just basic. And they're so basic that they even put obsolescence in. So when you put a foreign cable into it, eventually it gives up. But that is what happened. So I started to charge it with other cables. I tried 3 different cables. One from Poundland, I do admit is not a great idea. One from Home Bargains, which was a Pifco cable. And then I tried the original again, but nothing, not a sausage. All it did was flash an Apple logo like it was dying, basically. So I tried to get this thing here. And if you don't know what one of these are, they're basically a fast charger. This is supposed to be a 25 watt fast charger that works similarly with every single phone out there that had it 5 or 7 years ago, but they're so bloody backwards, Apple. Where it has a USB-C, and then you connect that bit to your dumb iPhone. Now, I plugged that in and I thought, oh, success, something's happening. Oh wait, it did the flashing Apple logo again and completely gave up on it. Which is irritating, because every single thing Apple touches in the marketplace turns to dust. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, look at what happened with Samsung. They removed the headphone port and people got turned off and went to different phones. Don't believe me? This has a headphone port on it, and this is in the A category, not the S category of the Samsungs. So yeah, it's safe to say that this iPhone is cooked just because of one little splodge on the screen. No, I didn't toss my cock on it. I basically, you know, was watching a video. It was to one side. I was washing my hands, and just a tiny speck of water must have gone onto the screen, and it didn't like my cable. So obviously, I went to the original Apple cable. It was fine, but it was charging at a really slow rate. So I kept trying my other cable and all that, whatever. It just didn't work, and I even when it was drained, I tried the so-called original cable that he gave me, which did nothing either. And I tried other cables thinking it'd be a bit faster, because it had faster anyway, I couldn't get this thing working. This XS Max is pooped. So what we're going to be doing, or what you're going to be instantly seeing, is me buying an iPhone 13, and then we'll give it the absolute chance that it doesn't really deserve. So, as I said, this is not a good start, Apple. If a second-hand phone can be this crappy, and point to mind that I've had loads of second-hand Samsung phones in my lifetime, and none of them have behaved as retarded as this. But we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's buy an iPhone 13. So, the iPhone's been ordered. As you can tell, I'm using the Apple phone to record this. And we had a bit of stroke of luck, because randomly, when I just ordered a new iPhone, this is starting to work again. Well, kind of. It just says 1%. I don't know if you can even see that. It says 1%, and when you put it on charge, it just says 0%, right? It won't budge from that. So, either iPhone is absolutely bad at charging phones, or maybe the seller that sold me it was knocked off, really. You know, knocked off around. You know what knocked off means. Probably knocked off around London, who knows, it probably got smacked on the Eiffel Tower on its way. But yeah, it's just absolutely weird that, because it's not happy with the battery change I did it, and all my cables and all that, it had to be picky, etc. Anyway, the new iPhone should be here by today, which is the 12th of the 10th. And I'm still filming this shit for you all, to give it another chance, to not make it look like I'm prejudiced, whatever it is the word is. I don't understand why it's been like that. I'm going to guess that the phone shop, which I am going to be putting here right now, let's shame them, that's fucked up this iPhone big time. All you have to do is do a battery change. And I don't even think he put a genuine Apple battery in, because he never showed me much at all. He showed me the swollen battery, but he never showed me the battery he replaced it with, because I left him to it. I just thought he was just going to put another Apple battery in it. And it's only when I looked at it in the shop, it said something about it not recognising the battery. So I don't know if that's part of it, which is why I'm giving it another go as well. Because, you know, shit happens. Anyway, as I said, let's get to this iPhone already. Ta-da! Here is the iPhone 13. And yes, I am filming this on an Android phone just to wind you Apple fanboys up. Not really. I don't know. I just can't be asked to get the bigger camera out. You know, the Sony. I was going to put it on a tripod and all that, but, you know, too excited. So let's see what we got, shall we? I have to say, though, do you remember when iPhone boxes used to be bigger? Oh, well. I guess we don't get much anymore with Apple anymore. Especially how much you spend. Well, I haven't cut all that off properly. Oh, look at that. It's all like, yeah. Probably sell the box for £3 million, because Alfred would. Anyway, there we have it. I have to say, they are very pretty phones. Does it work properly? That's the question. Well, there you are. There's a little screen protector on it. Oh, that feels pretty weird. Oh, and I also got, to get it the right way, a case. And yes, it's one of these stupid gel cases things. And I've never been really a fan of these gel cases too much. I mean, they're very nice cases, these gel cases. Problem being is they get so filthy so quick. This is a nice hard case, so that should keep the phone neat. So, and you get this fast lightning cable with no charger, I don't think. So let's have a look. Yeah, funny enough, ages ago they used USB-C type, but never went with it until the EU decided to bust their balls, and then finally everyone's like saying, look at this lovely new cable. Even though they've had it on Macs for some time. But there you have it. Oh my god, that feels cheap. And people, you know, people buy this for like 40 quid. Ridiculous. Yep, that's the SIM card removal tool thing, which is a good sign because I need to put a SIM card in this eventually if I use it as my main phone, which I will do because it is an expensive device. Is there anything else in the box? I don't think so. But you never know. I always like to lift the cardboard out, which I can't seem to do. So I'm guessing there's no more things in here. Let's have a little look. Nope. I'm not going to get too much because if I have to send it back, I have to send it back. But let's have a little look, shall we? Thank God they got rid of that notch in the screen. I tell you, I found that a really dumb design, to be honest. I don't know why Samsung followed them in that direction. Anyway, I've got the Midnight one, which was a really good choice of mine. I like the look of that colour. I like the colour of black phones and sometimes colour phones, but yeah. Let's see if this piece of shit boots. Well, we have an Apple logo, that's a good sign. I tell you what, I'm going to put it in the case, just to be safe. Put it in there. And this gel case is not as good as the other case I got from that name and shame chain of shop, whatever. So let's compare it to the other iPhone. As you can see how big the damn Max is, which is why I got the smaller one, because to be honest it was a bit better, to be honest. Don't see the point of the Max, to be honest. I think it's an overpriced piece of tat, to be honest. But anyway, right, it's at the welcome screen, so I'm going to give myself a few minutes to work with this, and then we'll be back shortly. Oh, by the way, a big shout out to Alfred, because Alfred.tv, because I'm watching him right now while I set all this shit up of his new server video. Well, old server video, but new server. You get my point. So I'm setting up this iPhone, and already we've got a problem. And this is one reason to hate iPhone more, because with Android, doesn't matter what device it is, you could be transferring from an Apple phone to a Huawei, and it will select the backup from Google, no problem. But because I'm not running this iOS, it's refusing the backup. Again, Apple, they just work. And obviously the back button doesn't bloody work properly because it won't go back. This has started out fun. So out the box we already have failure, because as you noticed from the other clip, it wasn't even running the newest version of iOS. You know, you would have thought they would have, yet again, this is an older model, but I get that. But what kind of phone will disagree with a phone backup for just apps and shit? Just because it's not running the new iOS. So now, I finally got it working for a lot of screaming later. And again, this is supposed to be just works territory. So now I've got to upgrade it to fricking 17. And let me just say, this phone is way slower. Way slower than the XS Max. Because this thing it kept crashing, basically. So for people that snobbily say it doesn't crash and it just works, you're all lying, fox. I'm sorry. So as you can tell, we've got the settings back. And the iCloud basically running just like, you know, Google does. All the apps are returning. But I will say this, I will give them some slack on this one. I will give them some credit. The transfer was a tiny bit faster than Google's, because on Google it takes a bit of time for the apps to install. And as you can tell, my alarm's going off on this fucking phone because, you know, I'll get to that in a minute. But, you know, it was really fast. And that's the one of the great things, I guess, about the Apple as well. And, you know, all that sort of shit. Yeah, so, you know, I'll give them some slack. You know, the iCloud is quite fast at restoring the apps back on the phone from a backup, but Samsung does exactly the same. But I don't know, on a Samsung or a Android device, it takes a bit more time to install all the apps, and it still looks like a fresh phone. And the great thing about this is the fact that while I am not doing this take again, I am getting all my folders as well back, as well as the apps. So I'll give them credit. That is a good little smart move they did with the iCloud. Right, some time has passed. I don't know when that last video was made on the iPhone 13 experience thing, you know, retry series. I'm guessing, I don't know, it's been about a week or so now since that clip. So, how was my overall experience with the iPhone? Well, it's actually been okay. I mean, you know, it's behaved itself, unlike the other phone which had problems with the battery. You know, as you can tell, we're at a good percentage right there, and it's working. Obviously I've got my other phone here, the old Opal phone that I had, Opal, whatever. So, you know, my overall experience with this thing has been kind of sweet, really. I mean, I haven't really used the camera feature as much yet. I mean, I have used it a few times, the camera feature, and there is a couple of things that I do like and dislike. So if we go to the camera feature on here, if I can find it, one thing I do like is the easy zoom. Right there, can you see it? Yeah, the easy zoom feature, that's pretty awesome. But as a lot of people pointed out, because of the lens stretch, it will keep popping in and out and look very unsmooth on video. So that's one disadvantage, I suppose. But the thing with the Android that was a bit annoying with zooming was the fact that when it was optical, well, it wasn't optical, it was actually digital, was you had to stretch it in and out, and you'd have to use two hands, and sometimes you would drop the phone. With this, if you got it angled right, you can actually do it like this and go like that, which is pretty good. So yeah, not a bad experience with that. That's a pretty cool camera feature. Overall, you know, the interface with it is pretty damn cool. Do I stand by my point that it is still a boring OS? Yes, it is. It's quite dull, to be honest. Considering with the Android you can do so many functions with an Android. For example, apart from the zoom thing, you can actually select all sorts of weird wacky modes out of this thing. And the best thing you can also do is you have the choice between gestures and the back button if you really feel old like me, that used to use buttons. And you know, not forgetting with Android, you know, you've got like other options available for menus and all that sort of stuff, and you know, and with Google, you know, you can like switch devices seamlessly, no problem. But with an iPhone, one thing I've noticed is you're very restricted, especially with that iOS update that we had to do just to get this thing to do the restore from the backup. But after all that effort, it managed to restore it, and I was very happy with it. It was quite fast, although it still has the same sort of speed as an Android when it comes to transferring all your, you know, applications and all that. But one thing I'm not really a big fan of with Android is with Android, when you used a new phone, yes, it got all your applications most of the time if it was compatible, but then the problem was it didn't arrange it all in file order. Meanwhile, the iPhone did it really, really well. It basically remembered where it was. It even remembered how I named my folders very, very well. It didn't misspell any of it, and did a good job. So I have to hand it over to them. That is really good. The Face ID is quite similar to each other. They both unlock. Sometimes they unlock properly, sometimes it doesn't unlock properly. But I have noticed with this thing is even in the very dark conditions, it still managed to recognize my ugly mug and managed to unlock the phone. Meanwhile with this thing, even in low light, sometimes it wouldn't even recognize it, which is okay, because you know, you can just do the keypad unlock thing, which is fine. Another great feature I liked about the Apple experience was the fact that you have a little switch here to mute your calls, which is awesome, because one thing that really annoyed me with Android was the fact that you had to unlock the phone, then you've got to find the setting in the dashboard thing, thingamabob, and then do all that sort of stuff. I like how simple and convenient that is. That's one good thing I have to say about it. Charging speed, I have to say, you know, they're both kind of similar to each other. They both charge similar in their own way, apart from this version that only does 20 something watts, I believe, but I only have a 20 something watt fast charger anyway, and I have used it, and to be honest, they're both similar when it comes to charging. They both charge at fast speeds. I haven't drained this yet. I don't dare drain this, because if it goes wrong, I would have to contact Very, which is the company I got this from. I just noticed that there's like little dots that are in the Apple logo and all that now. I just noticed that before I did this shoot. I thought I might as well just bring that across. That's actually kind of cool. So was this colour a great choice? Yeah, I mean, I like this colour of the iPhone I've got. Pretty pleased with it. The gel case is quite a thick gel case, which is good. Although you've got to think, you know, this was a free case that came with it, obviously, because it's not a no make. Well, it is now, but it wasn't back then. It was like not a no make, so they throwed it in as a freebie. But you know, most cases I've had with iPhones and that, you know, somewhat similar to each other really. Apart from this one was a thicker gel back case, which should withstand better in time. Unlike this one, which is flimsy as hell, but it was a freebie, so I can't complain. But it got mucky quickly, really quickly actually. This one looks like it will have the same issue over time. It will get mucky over time. Let's go with some more good things. I have to say, that the speakers on this thing are stunning. For the iPhone 13, the speakers are stunning on this thing. You know, when I had the iPhone XS, it also had really good bass, but it was also very muffled, and I didn't know why, and I'm guessing because the speaker was never cleaned properly when it was sold to me. But when I got the new version of this, it was actually quite clear. You know, quite a bit of bass behind it, which is pretty damn good. I know most Samsung models probably have this now, where they have, like, you know, some bass to their little speakers on them. But it's a nice little feature that the iPhone's got now, which is, you know, you got some great, you know, clarity to it. Obviously, most of the apps managed to roll over, not a problem, you know. But applications is a big issue with Apple now, and has always been, by the looks of it, because you can't just get a freebie app anymore for the Apple, because the problem being is you have to pay for most of them, which is really annoying, because, you know, things that you used to have on Android that's free, which is free applications, is not free on here. And another thing that annoys me is is the fact that there's a clock app on this phone, and then on this phone, right, to wake me up in the morning. Doesn't do a great job, but it does help me out as much as it can to wake me up in the morning. And it has a widget that allows you to have a little clock, right? But Apple being Apple, it won't accept it, because, you know, of the layout of how iPhones work. So I had to use their default right there just to get a clock feature, but it doesn't wake me up, that one. But amazingly, the app still works. It still wakes me up, but it's like you couldn't be bothered to put the clock feature that I'm used to on this one onto here, but oh well, it doesn't matter, I guess. And then obviously there was the demo problem, you know, I had with the other phone. You know, I got rid of that app. I got rid of the app that had that demo clock on it, because it was doing my head in. It's a demo all the time, so I just went with the Apple one instead, the Apple clock. Overall, not a bad experience, apart from the small little features on the camera and a few of the little things that make it nice, with the little slider switch and many other little functions that I'm missing off today. Would I, you know, stick with Apple? This is the question you're probably asking. The thing is, with planned obsolescence with Apple, it's more higher risk, because you get say for example an iPhone 10, and about 1 year down the line they disable your internet because the new 15's out, or the 16 or whatever's out, and you're in big trouble, and all that sort of thing. You could lose data and such like that, which is why I recommend to always download every single thing, you know, download every single backup as much as possible. But the great thing about Android is you can actually have an S4 and have all your Google stuff migrated over from that to a newer phone if you wish to. That's one great thing about the Android universe, although you won't get it in folder form. But the upgrade process was pretty easy. I mean, it just basically went through it all and all that sort of stuff. But unfortunately, as I said, it's picky and obsolescent with an iOS update when it comes to backing up and restoring, as I showed, because it was running 16. It wasn't happy to upgrade, and you would have thought it would have a splash screen saying, "Oh, update iPhone," while in factory reset or something. Because I know fully well that when you boot up an Android, it immediately gives you updates. Immediately, without you signing into Apple, I'm sorry, to Android or Google. It just basically goes straight in, no problems, and it updates it, and then it starts to continue on. But with this thing, the picky thing was, it said that this restore thing, but then what it did was, Was it says, well, you're using iPhone, you know, the iOS 16 platform, you cannot do this. And it's like, why? I mean, it's the same fucking OS. Surely it's the same thing. Obviously not, but it would be nice if there was an update feature somewhere there, you know, just like update now, you know, where it says you can't update this, so press this button, boom, there you go, you've updated the phone, it resets, goes back to the splash screen, and then you enter all your credentials into Apple, only Apple. But as I said, I was sidetracked, what was I going to say? Oh yes, would I recommend people to get iPhones? Not really, but would I stick with Apple from now on? Now I've been with the experience that I've had with it. Let me give you this analogy. It's like being with a girlfriend that always likes to slap you, likes to punch you. You know, you're in an abusive relationship, but you still love it, if you get my saying. That's near the same with Apple most of the time. It punches you, and you either walk away or you stick with it. And this is kind of the same analogy in a way, because it's like it does this thing where it restricts you, but you still like it in somehow. It's like a placebo effect, if you will, over it. Has it put me off Android? No. But if Android could fix the folder issue, that would be great, and speed up their phones a bit better. Yes, I would, you know, be happy with that. At the end of the day, my overall outcome out of this is, you know, I'm still not a fan, but at the end of the day, now and again, I might buy a new iPhone or an Android, because to be honest, I don't mind either. I mean, this is boring, but you know, I wouldn't mind either, to be honest. They're both just a phone at the end of the day, and they both do the same thing. They both make phone calls, etc, etc. If I've missed anything out, I'll put a notes at the end or in this on the screen or whatever, and let you know if I fixed it or not, but or if I, you know, got any little niggles. But at the end of the day, I can see why people buy these things, even if they're a little bit obsolescent and they are a pain in the arse and they are overpriced and they are basically a bit of a scam, if you ask me, because this thing is probably the same as that other one, that other phone there, but they're overcharging like $1,000 for these things. Although I got this, I believe, at Very for 600 for this. I was going to get the 12, but you know, I thought, well, it might be obsolescent by then, so I went for this one. And not forgetting, you know, other things. But yeah, why didn't I get the 14? Because it's all the same shit. They're all the same software. I just wanted to have a go at the software, use it as a phone, see what it was like, you know, yada yada yada. You get the point. This video is going on way too long. Thank you very much for watching. If I've missed anything, I'll put it on the screen, and I'll see you later. Take care.